This beautiful boy is why I can't get anything done. Bless his heart.
Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel for another custom figure video. Today we're going to be making a soft goods 1/12 scale T1000 from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Now if you've been following my channel, you know that I recently made a T800 with soft goods and customized a Harley Davidson Fat Boy to go with him. And to round out that section of the display, I wanted to add a T1000 to it. Here's the NECA one, great figure, as is the NECA T800. But I like soft goods, and so I like to kind of go for sort of a mini Hot Toy 1/6 scale detailed figure look. With the hard plastic, you see the articulation joints. It's not as realistic and believable. So today we're going to attempt to achieve that in 1/12 scale. We will probably borrow a few things from this figure. My buddy Matt's going to be mad at me because I am going to use at least one part of this figure. But I think it'll be worth it because in the end of the day, we're going to have a one-of-a-kind figure. So let's lay out the parts and supplies that we're going to use, take a look at that stuff and how it's going to go into the figure, and then we'll get to making them.
Okay, so here we have all the supplies that are going into this. First and foremost, we've got the Mix Max Slim Body. This is the last one I have, actually. These are hard to find now. They're not the greatest bodies anyway, but they are one of the few like slim options that are out there. Typically, all the bodies you can find for 1/12 scale are like, you know, big and muscly because they're supposed to be like superheroes and stuff. These bodies aren't even that great, but they're kind of just what's out there. They're sort of the closest equivalent to like the Mezco Gomez Joker body. But there are a couple alternatives that seem to be coming around, so hopefully those will have large runs and we will all have slim bodies to use again. The pants came with this suit set from GPS Lot on eBay. I'll have a link in the description below. And then the shirt is from a Mezco John Wick that I had used for something else, and I put a white button-up shirt on him, so this is the leftover blue shirt, so that's going to go. It's a pretty close match, so I think it'll work. It's not exactly the same, but once you have a belt across the midsection, that'll help kind of disguise the difference. This shirt does not have pockets on the front or the epaulets on top, so I am going to be making them with scraps from this. Now, I really don't want to have to cut up this jacket because these little things are, you know, they cost money, and I could use this for another figure eventually. So what I'm going to do is cut some of this inside flap out. This was a little sleeve from another shirt thing that I had, and I'm actually going to cut this and make the white undershirt that he has out of it. This is a hand from the Mix Max body. This is from something else. I don't know. I think this might have even been like a little Damn Toys hand or something. But it has the pointed finger, so I can do the kind of thing that he does. It is the left hand that he uses in the movie, but, you know, we'll make it work. For the head, I got this off of eBay from a seller that I get a lot of heads from. It was blank. You know, it was just kind of a pink color, and I painted it ahead of time. Actually, that's something I'm trying to do now is like kind of paint these heads in batches so that I'm not held up by like, the figure's almost done, the head's just not painted. If I just do them all in one, you know, weekend or something, then I can kind of get it out of the way. It's a pretty good likeness. This is a 3D printed head, and I painted it a couple days ago. The neck is from Action Figure Customs on eBay. I'll link to his page as well. He has a lot of great heads and neck connectors and stuff like that. It's not a perfect match skin tone wise, but it's going to be under the shirt collar for the most part, so it should be fine. I'm pretty happy with the paint job on this guy, though. I think this turned out really well. For the bullet effects, I had like 8 of these or something because I was making like a suited body, and because those are so hard to find in this scale, I was trying to make like John Wick and James Bond and stuff. And so what I did was I actually I cut the buttons and the badges off and stuff, and I sculpted a closed, you know, button-up shirt with a neck. And I cast a bunch of them so you could just replace them onto this. Anyway, so I had a bunch of those, and I have these parts left over. So I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to take the badge and some of these bullet hole effects, and I'm actually going to re-chrome these with my Molotow chrome pen, and I'm going to attach little tiny magnets to the back of them. These are the magnets, so you can get a sense of just how small they are. I'm probably going to drill into the back of these, glue the magnets in, and probably try to embed a few magnets into the body itself and then super glue them in. And then the idea is that the bullet effects can either be attached or taken off so that I can display him in different ways if I want to. And then I have some extra shoes from these guys, so I'm just going to adapt the shoes to fit onto this figure, and then that should be it. So the difficult part is going to be the bullet hole magnet stuff, and then cutting out little pockets and epaulets for this shirt. All in all, it should be a pretty straightforward build, so I'm excited for that, because usually I make this stuff way too hard on myself. So yeah, we will get this stuff out of the way and then get to it. Got the bullet effects cut off. That was a pain. They're like pegged in there, and I should have known that because on the back you can tell. And I was trying to just cut them off. Eventually I got smart and used a blow dryer, and then I was actually able to peel one of them out. You know, not a big deal because like this one actually got a hole in it somewhere. But again, I'm putting magnets in them, and the magnets are metallic. So next I've marked on the figure where I want to put the bullet effects. Cut off the badge, and I cut off his little name tag as well. So next I'm gonna match up the drill bit size with the size of the magnet. We can eyeball it here. That looks about right. First try, not too shabby. Boom. Fits perfectly. It's not snug on it, so it will need some glue, but that's good. Boom, that's in there. And I don't think it's going to want to come out either. All right, another one in there pretty successfully. Just remembered I bought these little files, which I think is perfect for this because I was having a hard time getting this hole rounded. I'll put a link to these little files down below. Got them on Amazon, and they're super helpful for like a variety of things. They come in like a few different shapes. You know, that's a round one. There's a couple flat ones and stuff. So yeah, just a nice little tool to have around. All right, that's in there. Let's see if it will. Boom. Love it. And it comes off easily. No need to glue this one. One down, 3 to go. Okay, so I've gotten a fair amount of work done on this. I shortened the legs a little bit. One of the problems with these Mix Max figures, the bodies, is that they are too long. But basically what I did was I cut the ankle bit off by like a couple of millimeters. I'll show you. This is the piece that came off. So you can see how much I shortened it, and then I drilled into the leg part and really just popped that in further, this peg here, and that is gonna make a more accurate height to what we need, because again, these things are just like way too tall all the time, and what I end up running into is that like the pants always look like high waters on them, and you have to be careful how you pose them because you want to see that like skin colored ankle coming out from underneath. So yeah, I just trimmed them a little bit, and something I've been meaning to do on these bodies for a long time, and I'm glad I finally did it because I think it makes a difference. So I got the magnets in there. The bullet effects stick to them perfectly, so these will get chromed out to camouflage the magnet and just to make this silver paint look better. Next up, I'm going to glue this shirt closed. Now you could stitch it, but I'm not that great at sewing, and I don't want to mess it up because it's the only one of these shirts I have. And I have had a lot of good luck with this, like basically fabric glue. I'll put a link to this stuff on Amazon in the description below. But yeah, basically it goes on kind of milky white like Elmer's glue, and then it dries clear. I'm gonna put some of that along this inner seam here, and then just keep it shut like that. Alright, so the shirt is glued shut with the liquid stitch, and I got it tucked into the pants. So the next step is going to be to sew the shirt into the pants. Just a little connector probably in the back here, just to make sure that it doesn't come untucked, because they can tend to do that when you start moving them around. And I have just this basic little sewing kit that I think I took from my wife's stuff. And she's very kind and patient with me as I'm always like, oh, I need this, can I use that? Okay, cut this strip of fabric out of the inside of the jacket. The pockets are about the width of this bottom piece here. Alright, so I got these little pockets done. And what I need to do is make little buttons for them. And the shirt and the epaulettes are also going to need buttons. If you look here, they have buttons down the shirt and then these little silver buttons here and here. So what I'm going to do for that, you know, buttons like this small is a challenging thing. But what I want to try is I have this piece. This was like a cord that was on the end of like a knife or something from some NECA thing. It's molded plastic. But, you know, this cord piece is kind of tube shaped. And so I want to slice it into little pieces and make buttons out of it. And I think those will be the right scale. And the reason I want to use this is because it's flexible. So when I cut it, it should stay in place instead of like if it were hard plastic, when I cut it, it would just go flying. That's the plan for this. I'm going to slice it up, paint them either silver or leave them black for the front of the shirt because it looks like these are just black buttons here. And then hopefully we'll be in business. Okay, I got some of these little buttons cut. I mean, you can't even see them. They're so tiny. Like I might even lose them. But they're there, and I'm getting out my very tiny, precise tweezers for this. I got this set on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. They are super handy for really delicate work. So all right, and here's the finished product. Now, I had to skip ahead a bit because I had a storage issue on my phone and it stopped recording and I didn't know it. So most of the footage that was lost was just me like cutting and gluing little things. So it's not a big deal. But here is the finished figure in hand. Super pleased with how this turned out. I'm trying something a little different with this video. Typically, you know, I'll have the figure on a turntable, but the light I have comes from up overhead, and so when I have it on a turntable and the camera facing forward this way, it's kind of in shadow, and so I wanted to just show it with better lighting, so we're trying it like this. The pockets are on there, got their little buttons, got the epaulettes up top, the badge has been chromed and applied, as well as the name badge, the belt from the NECA figure. I did use the revolver from a Mezco Punisher from the Netflix version because it's like the same gun, but this one's nicer and it has an actual barrel that rolls. And then I had to reduce the size of the belt a little bit, of course, because the waist on the NECA figure is larger. It looks pretty awesome doing the whole thing. So one thing I had to do with the feet, these shoes, the pegs fit in perfectly, but there was a little too much wiggle room around the peg once they were in, and he wanted to fall over. That's what happens when you use these shoes on these kind of bodies. I've had it happen before. And so I filled them with some hot glue, just a little bit, and then I stuck the pegs down in there, and they hold pretty well. So he stands up quite nicely. Now I have yet to apply the bullet effects yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. With the bullet effects. Yeah, this might be one of my favorite customs I've made in a long time. I love the simple ones. It wasn't simple necessarily to put together, but it's a simple design, you know, just a cop with a couple extra little deals on him. But yeah, check that out. That's freaking sweet. He's giving that look. Here's a closer look at the head. Blue eyes I find to be really difficult to paint. His eyes should be a little bit lighter, but they're so tiny that you just kind of do your best and then hope it's good enough. But yeah, it looks pretty sweet. Let's take a look at him next to the NECA figure here. I think this is a better likeness overall. This head is a good head sculpt, but it's 3D printed, so I don't know if this was like a 3D sculpt or if they scanned like a Hot Toys head sculpt or one of the Enter Bay ones or something and made a like a digital 3D file out of it. But I don't think it's as good a likeness as this one. Like this is a little cartoony looking, like it's not totally realistic, but it really gets like the furrowed brow and stuff, and he doesn't really have that on this one. But all in all, this just looks so cool as like a realistic thing. So here he is standing upright. And yeah, I mean, you can see this is a great figure, but having a more realistic interpretation of him on my Terminator shelf really makes me happy. I'm really glad that I painted the head first. It really allows me to just kind of get the hard part out of the way and put the figure together. The only other thing I would like to do with my custom is maybe make him like, you know, one of these arms, or like take this bladed arm and you know, cut it off and maybe reform it to fit onto this peg or something. But I'm really pleased with the look of the bullet pancake effects here, and you can't really tell that they all have a magnet sitting in the center of them. If you're unfamiliar with these, this is a Molotow liquid chrome pen. I'll have a link in the description so that you can find it on your own. They're really fantastic, and they really make just a beautiful chrome effect. I mean, look at the difference between the chrome and the silver paint on the NECA figure versus my custom. Like, it really is just night and day how the chrome shimmers and reflects the light. So absolutely the way to go. Even if you don't want to make your own like this, but you have the NECA one and you want to just kind of spruce them up, hit them with that chrome pen and it'll really sing. Next up, I want to put him in the Terminator display that I have and just take a look at all the figures together. All right, there he is in the display, and I just think that looks so dope in there. That, honestly, I think that's probably the best figure in the display too, just in terms of realism and accuracy. You can see the video for the T800 on my channel, as I mentioned before. There's a process video on that, along with the bike that he's on. And then also in that display, just to touch on it since we're looking at it, there's the two on the left from Terminator Dark Fate are the 3-0 Terminator figures, and I think those are really amazing. They are a smaller scale. They're more of a true import 6-inch scale, whereas these run a little larger. Dark Fate, I love that movie. I know it's a little divisive among fans or whatever, but I think it's the third best Terminator movie behind 1 and 2. So yeah, I was pretty stoked to get those, and I got them for like crazy cheap. They were like 45% off or something, so couldn't pass them up. Great figures. I think this display looks pretty awesome. I might eventually tweak it, kind of try to, you know, like I have Sarah Connor and old Terminator Carl, I think this is what they called him in the movie. I have them on a little riser. You know, it kind of gives for like a movie poster montage look. Let's check this out from a little different angle too. Okay, now we're kind of looking down a little bit so you can get a better idea of the sort of setup and how I was trying to go for a little bit of dynamism where, you know, they're a little higher, these are on the ground, and etc. I'm really pleased with this setup. It'd be cool to add a couple more. Maybe I can figure out a recipe for a John Connor and like a T2 Sarah Connor. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, I just wanted to show it to you all in the display so you could see what I had going. I'm really glad I'm finally, you know, this has kind of been on my to-do list forever. So this channel is a great way to kind of knock stuff off the list and show you all in the process and you know, just kind of showcase it so I have sort of secondary reason to do it other than just like, oh, I'll get to it one day. You know, it helps motivate me to get it done and share it with you all. So that's going to conclude today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, and I'd love for you to click subscribe and come along with me as I make more custom figures, vehicles, and dioramas for my collection. As I mentioned throughout the video, there will be links in the description below for the items that I used and some of the tools and whatnot, so if you're looking for some of those yourself, you can find them there. Also below is a link to my book, Retroactive. You'll have seen the trailer in this video already. It's a spy-fi thriller that's sort of James Bond meets Groundhog Day. There's a really cool time travel element and a time loop theme going on throughout the story. So if you enjoy Terminator and, you know, other time travel movies, I think you'll really like this book. Thank you all again for watching, and until next time, keep your head on swivel.